All I have for you is a word. Tenet.
You'll see things you've never seen before. So that also makes your brain hurt as you're watching this, because you're like, that's not supposed to happen. It doesn't make sense. And that's true. That's how a lot of it is. It's kind of frustrating to watch because you're like, I don't understand.
Somehow my machine seems to have reversed the direction of time.
Reverse the direction of time? Stewie, what does that even mean? I don't get it. Okay, now I get it.
Hi guys, welcome to Keeping It Real. I'm Ryan, and today I'm talking about Tenet. Tenet was released in theaters only during the 2020 pandemic and was marketed as being the film to save movie theaters. You could only go see it in theaters. It was one of the very few films that chose to stick to their theatrical release as opposed to a video on demand release, a pay-per-view style thing, or whatever. They chose not to release it on a streaming service. And so they wanted people to come out and see this movie in droves. They said, well, Christopher Nolan makes movies where you have to go see them more than once. And so we should release this movie so that people want to go see it more than once. Oops.
No. Oh, hey, Cleveland. Australia, here I come.
Even when you do watch this movie more than once, you're going to have some questions. I've watched this movie several times now. I don't know how many. 5, maybe. And my opinion on it changes each time. So it's very hard for me to do a review on this. And in fact, I waited a little bit after the release of this film to do a review on Tenet, even though I did go and see it in theaters. And I've since seen it on demand, and now I own it. Mostly I own it so that I can keep up with my Christopher Nolan collection. This is not his best movie.
I ordered my hot sauce an hour ago.
Why is it not his best movie? Well, because it is so complex and hard to follow that although it does come together, and the more you watch it, the more you understand it. But the reason that I have mixed feelings about this movie is because it's so much work to get there that I'm wondering, was it worth it? You know, was sitting through this headache of a movie worth the payoff?
Oh my god, it's the greased up deaf guy running backwards toward that grease truck explosion.
Oh, the grease burns so bad, I can't hear!
Boy, I am late for that meeting.
It's a very well conducted, directed, orchestrated thing. It's bizarre. This movie is the highest budget experimental film I have ever seen. They try some of the craziest, wacky shit in this movie that you've never seen before, and yet they can't seem to make it make sense. It's not the time inversion stuff. So let's back it up a little bit. This movie is very difficult to explain the plot of this movie. Essentially, the protagonist is played by John David Washington, who is Denzel Washington's son. That is the only name we get for him, is the protagonist. Already, it's hard to identify with him, but okay. The protagonist is the secret agent on a mission to end World War III, which is not nuclear. Let me take another stab at this, actually. The protagonist is on a mission as a secret agent to prevent World War III, which will be fought with the weapon of time inversion. The idea being that a time inversion could happen, reversing the chronology of the world, therefore going so far back that just existence itself ceases.
Stewie, you can't just change the direction of time. How is this even possible?
And the protagonist needs to stop that from happening. Meanwhile, there are objects that have been sent back in time that are now inverted and traveling backwards, that the characters, like the protagonist who is moving forward in the timeline, can interact with, which leads to things are moving backwards and forwards at the same time, because the protagonist is viewing things going one way, but these objects are going another in time. Does your head hurt yet?
My God, it's extraordinary.
This is my attempt at explaining the plot, and you'll notice I'm having some trouble. And it's because it is very difficult to figure out, even after seeing this movie 5 times, what is this movie about?
I can only surmise that you and I were isolated from its effects because we were inside the machine at the moment of temporal inversion. Are you sleeping?
No, I was listening.
The first time I went to see this movie, I took Melissa to see it. We went and saw it in the theater, and we left the theater after me, by the way, hyping this up, being like, oh my God, I love Inception and Interstellar and all Christopher Nolan's movies, Memento. Oh my God, I love it. And I'm really excited so that, we're going to go see it in IMAX. There was, scenes filmed in IMAX. This is perfect. Like, let's go. Spent all this money on the IMAX tickets during a pandemic, masked it up, didn't eat popcorn the whole time because that seemed redundant to the whole situation. But there was nobody around us. There were other people in the theater, but there was nobody around us. I was so excited. And we left this movie, and my first reaction was, okay, I obviously I have to see it again. Because I feel like I got it, but like, did I though? What did you think of the movie, hon? She says, I don't know what that movie was about. I couldn't tell you. And I don't blame her. This movie is so difficult to keep up with that even at home, once it was released for home viewing, I found that it took me several hours to get through this movie because I kept pausing it and doing this and being like, okay, this happened, this happened, this happened because of this? And even then I wasn't sure. Watching the damn movie, trying to explain what I just saw is difficult.
In a parallel worlds theory, we can't know the relationship between consciousness and multiple realities. Is your head hurt yet?
Yes.
There are people that have complained about the audio of this movie, how it's mixed. Whatever, I'm not going to get into that. It's mixed really bad. It's sometimes all it is that sometimes the music and things like that are louder than the people talking, so it's hard to hear them.
Straight in. Off the tarmac. From the terminal. From their private planes, of course.
Whatever. It's not like the entire movie is like that. It's just certain parts of the movie but yeah, I mean, it's true. That does happen. Yes. That being said, Robert Pattinson is very good in this movie. John David Washington is very good in this movie. The performances are excellent. Kenneth Branagh is awesome. All of the performances are fantastic in this film. Christopher Nolan is an excellent director, and they did some really, really cool stuff here. There are several moments of this film where you're going to wonder, like, how'd they do that? And I'm still wondering, I'm like, how'd they do that? Did they have hundreds of people running backwards? Yeah, apparently they did. Like, there's a lot of sequences like that where it's like, wow, the extent of what they went through. An entire highway full of cars driving backwards so that it looks like what's happening is actually going forwards when they reverse the footage, and just like the way they made this movie is head scratchy.
Like, there's no way they're gonna crash this thing into that building.
A lot of these sequences, you kind of read it in the script, and you just think, yeah, would be cool in a movie. And then you get to set and it's like, yeah, we've got a 747, we're crashing it into a building. That's how we're achieving the 747 crashing into a building. It feels very, very real, essentially because it is real.
So this raises a question, is this entertainment even then at that point? And yeah, I mean, it is. It's entertaining to watch. And it does make sense. It does come together, but you have to strain. You have to focus so hard, and you have to research after this movie. You have to look at diagrams and shit. Is it worth it? Is the payoff worth all of that? Worth putting this puzzle together? I don't really think so, to be honest. I think it's interesting for what it is. It's a puzzle of a movie. It requires more than just watching it once. You have to do a lot more than watch it once, actually. You have to do more than just watch it twice. Like I said. And it's a lot of work. And that's definitely not for everybody, which is why I don't understand why they chose this movie as being the savior of all movies. It's like I think they didn't watch it. I think the people that made the decision to release this movie as the movie to save all movies, I think that the people that said that didn't watch the movie first. I think they're just fans of Christopher Nolan, which is understandable. I'm a fan of Christopher Nolan, and if somebody said, hey, should we release the new Christopher Nolan movie as, like, the movie? I'd be like, yeah, that's awesome, absolutely. But if you showed me the movie Tenet, didn't tell me Christopher Nolan was directing it, and said, should we show this movie as the movie to save movie theaters and movies during a pandemic, I'd say, fuck no.
Audiences have never seen anything like this before.
It's a swift, kind of action-packed adventure movie.
There are certainly images that I have never seen before on screen.
It's a really hair-raising, high-stakes thriller from an extraordinary filmmaker.
Okay, Seamus, today's the day you finally ask out that barista. What's the worst that could happen?
Tenet was made for somebody like me, somebody who's actually going to go through and do all that stuff, and do that research, and look at diagrams to finally understand, and watch this movie 4 or 5 times. I'm sorry, but, like, I'm not the mass audience. I'm not. I'm a huge cinephile. I'm a huge movie lover. I'm going to go to movies no matter what. I'm going to support theaters no matter what. I'm going to rent these movies on demand and pay the money so that the distributor and the people that made these get the money that they deserve, because I want the movie industry to thrive. I really, really genuinely do. So fucking release Black Widow. Give us a Marvel movie. Give us something that everyone's going to go fucking see. Instead, we got Tenet, and the people that did risk their lives, like me, to go out and see this movie, told all their friends, just wasn't the movie to save all movies. It's a good movie. It is a good movie. There's some really, really cool stuff they do in this movie. The time stuff is not what's hard to understand. It's the plot of the movie. The time stuff is just something that the plot is working around. What's difficult to understand is, like, who is he talking to and why? And then why are we going to this person? And then why are we going to that person? And then this, and then, wait, who told him to go here? And what's he doing there? And how do I even explain what's going on in this fucking movie? Even with full disclosure as to like, you know, like I'll tell you exactly what happened. What happened? What happened? What did I see in this movie? There's a really awesome sequence where the protagonist goes through this time inversion machine and therefore is moving backwards. However, to him, it's actually because it's his perspective, the world is actually moving backwards as he's moving forwards. So perspective is everything, I guess, in this movie. It's a cool sequence, even though it's very, like...
There, now you got a fresh new diaper, Stewie.
What are you talking about? What's going on?
I think you're getting a diaper change.
Ah, get that poop-filled thing away from me! No! Oh, God, it's cold!
Whoa, smells like somebody needs a diaper change.
Damn right I do! Now get this turd-filled sack off! Oh, my God, it just went back in my body.
This is a tough movie to review. It's cerebral. It's head-scratchy. It's all of that stuff. Okay, cool. Because of the high quality of this movie, I'm going to give it a 75 out of 100. If it wasn't for the quality, though, that score would be lower. It is a very high quality movie, so there's some really cool sequences, and it is worth watching for that, especially if you're a movie lover. It's not for everybody, though, so if you've watched this entire review and you've gone, Ryan, you're not exactly selling this movie, then yeah, this movie's not for you. I can tell you that right now. If you've watched this whole review and you've gone, yeah, you know what, like, I mean, you know, it sounds like I want a puzzle, and it sounds like he, you know, said it's a good quality one, then yeah, watch this movie. I'm not saying it's bad. 75. 75. It's a pass. You know, it passes. It's definitely not a epic failure. It was commercially because they released it at the wrong time, so that was a mistake, but that has nothing to do with the actual movie. That was the marketing of it. So in terms of a movie, 75 out of 100 I think is an appropriate score for it. 75 out of 100. We'll leave it at that.
You must have had a plan for getting out.
Not one I love.
What are you watching?
Meet the Press. It's really weird. In reverse time, the Republicans make outrageous statements, and then the host asks an unrelated question.
Global warming is a myth. God created everything, and the world is getting colder.
What is your tax plan?
Thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to hit that like button. The end.